Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. I was just sipping on some tea and I wanted to come live and share something with you. I was just meditating and in thankfulness for answered prayer. And actually, I'm in a season in my life where things that I've been contending for years are starting to just break through. Um, my friend said to me today, um, the fruit of patience is on my life. And that really blessed me. And I was starting to think about, how long I've sort of been standing for some of the things that I'm seeing happening today. It's been sort of a long haul, waiting, trusting the Lord, following his voice, um, not compromising, uh, but not bowing down, just staying, holding the line, staying the course. I was thinking about this verse. I've been working on laying some flooring, and when you lay floor, you have to kind of configure your layout. And so it goes with this verse I'm going to share with you. In Isaiah 46:10, it says, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. The Lord is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. And it says here, he knows the end from the beginning. And so, what's really cool about that is that Jesus, he knows what's good for us. And, sometimes it feels like, God, why can't I just have what I'm asking for? Sometimes God knows what's to come down the road, and he's preserving you, and he's waiting you out for, he knows the end from the beginning, and he's doing what's best for you and your season. Timing is so important. Um, in Ecclesiastes, a verse that I love to quote is, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Timing, seasons, times, seasons. Um, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal. And this is sort of like walking with the Lord, because, something can look like one thing, and then in another situation, it can be flipped and look reversed and look like something else. And it's still God in all of the situations. A kill or heal time, to tear down or to build up, to weep or to laugh, mourn, dance, scatter stones, time to gather them, time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. You really need to understand the Lord in situations. Is this a time that I step into a comforting mode as a friend, or is this a time that I kind of refrain and step back and don't? And sometimes it's right to do one thing, and sometimes it's wrong to do one thing. So situations, times, seasons are all extremely important. A time to tear, a time to tear, and a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time for peace. Anyway, back to the floor laying. So I'm laying floor, and when you're configuring your flooring out, you have to know how much floor you need. So you need to understand the end from the beginning. And when you start laying out your pieces, you have to know the whole line, what it's going to look like, and the whole next line, what it's going to look like. So you have to understand what's coming next, the end from the beginning. So where you're starting, you have to already have vision for what's coming next, or else you'll lay it out and it won't work, or the patterns will clash, or the lines will match up and you don't want them to match up. Um, I hope this is making sense. So it's knowing the end from the beginning. You can't just be like, oh, I have 4 floorboards, I'm going to lay them down now, when you need 400. So it's like, the Lord knows this about our lives. He knows what's to come, not just our lives, but the things that we're going to impact, the people will notice in our lives and see and come across, and the things that we're going to do, our experiences and how they're going to weigh us. There's a time and a season for every situation. And it's really kind of learning the Lord. It's like a balance. It's like weights and scales. It's like, what's the Lord doing now? I'm going to watch and see, what is the Lord doing here? Okay, the Lord did this in an old season. It's a new season and he's not doing that right now. Or wait a minute, I never saw the Lord acting like this, but I'm going to step into it. And it takes faith and it takes trust. And, we make our plans and the Lord sets our paths. And man, if I'm not walking in a season like that, sometimes you don't know what's on the other side of your yes. I've heard people talk about this. I'm literally living this out. Sometimes you don't know what's on the other side of your no. But if you're hearing God clearly in a situation, staying the course is huge. Another verse I want to read out of Isaiah 43 is verse 18. Forget the former things, don't dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I'm making way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Forget the former things. I am doing a new thing. Sometimes it's really hard to step out of the new thing because we get so comfortable, we get attached, we're like that old thing was provision in my old season. That old thing was something I prayed for. That old thing was something I contended for in God. It was a gift from God. But then he's like, forget about that. Look, I'm doing something new. Well, then to step into the new thing you're contending for, it requires letting go of the old thing that you had contended for, stood for, believed for. And it's all okay. I had a dream that I was trying to use a old cell phone. If you're old enough to remember flip phones, because I realize some people are young now and they always had an iPhone or whatever. Um, I had this old flip phone, which I actually really had when I was younger. And I was trying to use the flip phone in my car to get somewhere by GPS, but it wasn't working. And I was frustrated in this dream. And I knew right away the Lord was showing me that you can't take a new technology like GPS in a phone and apply it to an old wineskin, an old technology. The new doesn't work in the old. So the old cell phone was outdated. And this was just a recent dream. I understand this revelation, but this was a recent dream. And the Lord started to speak to me about letting go of some things. And it was so funny because I was with my nephew the other day, and my mom said to him, I'm going to get you a new pair of shoes. And he goes, I don't want a new pair of shoes. I like these pair of shoes. And she was saying, well, these pair of shoes don't fit you. And he was saying, but I like these shoes. I don't want new shoes. And so the root of it was that he wanted the blue shoes. He didn't understand that, hey, I can get a new pair that fit and they could still be blue. And then he was saying, I don't want to go shopping for a new pair of shoes. And it was just so funny. The mindset there was that he didn't want to let go of something old, even though it didn't fit anymore, because he liked what he was in. He was comfortable in them. They were something exciting and new, not realizing what's on that other side of letting go of the old. Um, so I don't know if this is speaking to anyone. But the old really serves a purpose in teaching us about the new. So the old model cell phones, we can't get to the new ones that we have without having had the old ones, if you're tracking what I'm saying. The old is extremely important, but it pushes us to the new. You can't use the new in the old model. You have to take what you've learned from the old and apply it to the new, and adapt with the new, understanding the old. So the Lord knows the end from the beginning. He is Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. He's in the end as much as he's in the now, as much as he's in the beginning. And he is all knowing, all powerful, and always present. Omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. Omnipotent is power, omniscient is all knowing. And so, it's just really neat to serve a God like this, to serve a God where you never know what it's going to look like here and there. And anyway, I pray this blesses somebody. And I was just thinking about this revelation and having some tea. And I pray you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving is such a fabulous, fabulous time. And knowing the Lord. he just desires our thankful hearts. Thanksgiving is a key into his, enter his courts with thanksgiving, his gates with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. He loves it. He adores it. He likes when we're thankful for things, thankful for the old, but also not pushing away and turning away from the new because we're so stuck in being thankful for something that was old. It's just a healthy thing to transition, and um, and sometimes it takes a really long time to see the Lord work out some things in our lives. But thankfulness helps us stay there. Patience helps us stay there. Um, and really, that was what I had to share. And I pray it blesses you. And don't stay stuck in the old. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Can't you perceive it? And that's the other thing. That verse says, let go of the old. I'm doing a new thing. Can't you perceive it? And it's interesting because sometimes the new starts happening and we don't perceive it because we're so focused on the old. The old was good for the season and the purpose that the old served. But hanging on to the old and not allowing yourself to embrace the new will hinder you from being free in the new and trusting the Lord in the new. And it takes a lot of not moving in our own understanding and really relying and leaning on trusting in the Lord. And that's what I wanted to share. So the one other piece I wanted to share, I was reading in Daniel. It's currently in my readings. And in Daniel chapter 3, we know the story. The three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, are about to get thrown into a fire because they were, not worshiping the golden idol that everyone was supposed to worship. And this really does go with what I'm talking about with the old and the new and stepping into the new and the Lord knowing the end from the beginning. See, they didn't compromise when the king said you got to do it or you're getting thrown into the furnace. They wouldn't compromise, and it made the king so mad. He cranked the fire up extra high. But if you keep reading, it says that when he saw that they were walking around in the fire unharmed, it says in the last verse of Daniel chapter 3, it says, then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So they would not compromise. They wouldn't bow. They were holding on to the line. They were holding the line, and it ended up giving them promotion. But if you back up and remember, they said, we know that our God can save us. But it says, even if he doesn't, we still aren't going to compromise on this. And it's really interesting because it's sometimes easy to just be like, well, I didn't feel the Lord on it, but I did it anyway. And then you find out later you didn't really even have to do it. If you would just hold your ground, sometimes you'll see holding your ground, it may look like something got stolen from you. But when the Lord is on it, it comes back and works for your favor. It also says that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel chapter 3, they said that they weren't going to defend themselves. God can defend them. And that's when they said, even if he doesn't, we're still not going to do it. And then they ended up getting promoted when they stood their ground and didn't compromise. And so it's also important with accepting the new, stepping into the new, letting go of the old, understanding the time and the season that you're in, knowing when to refrain, when to step in. It doesn't always look the same in every season. Sometimes God's doing a new thing. It didn't look like the old. I'm just recapping here. He knows the end from the beginning. So when you're doing a project, you kind of have to have your sights on the end before you even start the beginning to compile all the stuff. Sometimes the Lord's working on us as a project and he understands the end result, but we don't really understand the process to building that project and doing the thing. I was talking about laying floors. You can't just start laying boards. They have to strategically be placed, understanding the end result from the beginning when you start. And so, I don't know. I pray it blesses somebody. And it's just what I had to share, was on my heart. And just wanted to have a little tea with you guys this evening. So, bless you. Take care.